Welcome to Fanalyze This. I'm Joe 5 o'clock somewhere.
And I'm Anthony Perry.
Hold on, AP. Let me fanalyze this for you real quick.
Tell 24 to pass the ball.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's not what I'm talking about, man.
Welcome to Fanalyze This. It's Thursday, May 9th. I'm Joe 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, this is Anthony Perry.
Oh, man. Well, we got... this is the first time this has happened to us since we've been doing the show. We actually have a slow sports week going on. And that's going to sound crazy right now because we got the Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs going on. But we did a show on Tuesday. We kind of discussed those games that were going on. We'll recap you on that. Obviously, there was games last night that we'll have to talk about. But no NBA games on the schedule today.
Nothing. It's a slow night.
Right? I mean, at least we'll have hockey to watch, you know.
Well,
maybe the NHL and NBA are working together. Like, hey, we're trying to get some ratings over here on the ice. Maybe you guys take a day off.
Continue last night's fighting from the Chicago game into the hockey.
Right, you know, why
just
not?
keep it going. People won't know.
Might as well get Nate Robinson skating out for the Blackhawks, maybe. Why not? Anyways, as always, we want to remind you to go ahead and go to Facebook and like our Fanalyze This page. You can follow us on Twitter, and I'm pretty positive we now have the YouTube page set up. It's Fanalyze This with no spaces, all one word. And also, you can catch any past episodes that you aren't able to find on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube on Spreaker.com. While you're over there, check out our affiliate shows. Give them some love, too. The UOU Show, No Salary Cap Radio, DNA Radio, On Air with Ruben J., and the Sanders Sports Show. Like I said, you know, there's not too much going on, so we're only going to be doing a half-hour show today. But in that half hour, we're going to discuss the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NBA playoffs. We'll take you around the diamond, even though it's earlier in the season. And we'll cover a couple little things, and I'm just saying. Right now, let's get it started with the NBA Eastern Conference matchups. Well, we're down to 4 teams in the East, 4 teams in the West. We may as well start with a game that was played last night, and you kind of touched on it in the intro. Miami and Chicago.
Was that a wrestling / basketball / referee event?
Dude, I lost count of turnovers, flagrant fouls and technicals handed out in this game. I think Chicago had 6 alone.
At least I was going to say, I think 9 or 10 technical fouls. It was crazy last night. I mean, it seemed more like hockey on hardwood. I mean, it was serious with the attitudes. They said that Miami wanted to come out and match what Chicago did in intensity, you know, in their first game, and I think they overdid it. Chicago responded, but Chicago was overmatched with size. Yeah, they couldn't play with them more.
Look at this. 9 I keep saying turnovers for some reason. 9 technicals combined between Miami and Chicago. 2 ejections. Noah and who else was it that got thrown out? Gibson got thrown out late in the fourth. I'm looking forward to Game 3.
Oh, it's going to be crazy.
You know? What's crazy about this to me is we're in the second round of the playoffs. We're down to 8 teams, and no one, Miami, San Antonio, OKC, and New York, have protected home court.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Every one of these series are now tied at 1-1.
It tells you how close everything is. I mean, outside of this, and you talking about hockey, everything is tight.
Yeah.
Except for the San Jose series, I think everything was really tight, you know. So you're talking about leagues being really close in football, basketball, man. And they talking about Miami was just going to run through possibly 4-4-4 and go through and call it a day.
Well, you know, I talked about this a little bit on Tuesday and how they had, you know, the long layoff and how you heard reports from Miami players that they were bored. And it really didn't sound like mentally they were ready for Game 1, and obviously they lost Game 1, and I said that Chicago's now poked and woke up the sleeping bear, and 1 game later, Miami wins 115-78, handing the Bulls their worst loss in playoff history.
It was, but I don't know if that was a game that they actually blew them out in and actually outplayed them.
No, because it was close for a while.
Right. I mean, the second quarter until halftime, that lead just grew, but I think they were mentally out, Chicago was, because of all the physicality. I mean, it was near fights throughout, and Chicago spent more time fighting with referees than they did fighting with Miami. It got to be really crazy when I thought for a moment it was one-sided with referees just throwing tees at Chicago because that's the way they play in a physical game. I think the referees overreacted in that game just a bit. I don't know how you look at it, but I think they were trying to stop them from fighting. But who's really fought in the playoff game? I mean, since the brawl with Miami and New York, way back when, I don't remember anybody fighting in the playoffs.
Fighting, no. I could think of a couple dirty fouls with Laker players. When we had Krynum, that hard foul on J.J. Barea when we got, exited from the playoffs, and then also the elbow Artest threw on James Harden. I think that was last year.
Right.
But no fighting. You're right. Ever since the slap fight from LJ and Zoe.
Yeah. And you had the coach that was hanging on Zoe's legs, like, please don't drag me and mop me up with the floor. But it's interesting the way the referees called that game last night. It was to keep them from fighting, but they weren't fighting; they were just being physical. And Chicago is a physical team.
Little side note, real quick, because you brought him up. You think Jeff Van Gundy's going to get the Brooklyn job?
I don't know, but that'd be really nice.
That'd be a nice fit.
I'm surprised though PJ didn't keep that job because I thought he did a very good job. This year. To bring a team that was under 500, 6-7 games or whatever it was, going in the wrong direction, to move them around and actually get them. They had the third spot, didn't they, in the playoffs? I'm like,
Brooklyn was 4.
Brooklyn was 4?
They came in at 4.
Okay, so they played 4-5. They were actually, I thought they ended the season well. I'm still looking at the GM and Brooklyn saying that he needed to lose his job, not the coach.
Now, you know what? Now that we're talking about the Brooklyn Nets, I'm going to bring this up again, and I'm just saying, because there's a little bit more I want to say about this.
Okay.
But I want to talk about the New York-Indiana series, which is also tied at 1. This is the matchup. We've been hoping for this really all season, and I'm pretty stoked we got this in the second round. New York, Indiana, just those playoff matches remind me of being in high school in the late 90s, and just I love when they play each other. And it happened to be, and I mentioned this on Tuesday, the anniversary of Reggie Miller scoring 8 points in 9 seconds. Here's the thing. Indiana, to me, just seems so much more physical.
Well, there's so much more. There's the size of this
outside
thing.
of Tyson Chandler and maybe Kmart, like it seems like these young, bigger Indiana Pacers are just having their way with the Knicks.
We're talking about the mismatch in sizes.
Yeah.
Carmelo's not a physical player. He may play offense physical, but he's not a great defender. So he's not that guy that's going to put anything on a 6'10" or 6'9" guy that's guarding him. So I'm looking at Carmelo like he is overmatched defensively. Who is he going to guard? So I'm looking at this team like Indiana should beat them in 6 games, but I'm really hoping New York wins. Because like you said, Tyson is going to do what he does in the middle. Kmark is going to be physical, but Kmark is not graceful enough to make that difference inside when it comes on the offensive end, though I believe he's going to play good defensively. But yet and still, I'm thinking Indiana should win this series. When you look at the two teams, Indiana and Memphis, to me, mirror themselves on opposite sides of the lake, but they're not going to play because neither one of them is going to make the finals, I don't think.
I think both of them still have a very good shot. Memphis, a much better shot than Indiana because, of course, the Pacers would have to go through the heat, and after playing the Knicks, assuming they beat them, it's not going to happen. But Memphis, I could easily see Memphis beating OKC and going on and winning the West.
But you know what's interesting? I understand where you're coming from with that, but what I look at Memphis and Indiana in the same way, there are times when their offense just grinds down to nothing, and it's like, who's going to take those shots? Who's going to make those buckets?
I'm so glad you brought that up because we finally got an answer to that Tuesday night from the Memphis Grizzlies when the guy I've been talking about, pretty much was talking about him all day on Tuesday.
You're near all-star.
Mike Conley Jr., 26 points in Game 2, really becoming the guy that Memphis hasn't had since trading away Rudy Gay, who's going to take the last shot, and Mike Conley Jr. stepped up big.
He led them in all those categories. So you look at this guy that, like you said, near all-star. Let's say he's an all-star minus opportunity, because I really believe you're right. He's going to be an all-star.
Very soon.
If not this coming season, next season, the year after, he's got to be in that starting lineup because he's a very good guard, and he stands,
assuming, of course, he stays healthy.
Well,
I don't want to jinx him or anything, because I am a fan.
But. Right, we look at everybody and say, we look at them in their best light, and I say he's going to be the fourth, fourth best guard in the West. Somewhere in there, he's going to be in an all-star uniform. He's got to be. He's a very good guard, and you're right. Since they traded Rudy Gay, they got better when they let Gay go, and they brought in Prince to play defense, and then Connolly's game just took off. He's a great leader.
Memphis GM still Sam Presti, right?
I believe so.
Sam Presti knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
I look at some guys, man, and they make some very good choices. And I think he made a really good one by saying, you know what, I like Gay, but we're going to be better without him.
Which everyone thought, and myself and I think you included, we thought that was so crazy when it happened, and boy, was that a good trade.
Well, see, they got Prince later, and that was the thing. They went and got Prince before the trade deadline.
It was the three-way deal
and they got
that sent Gay to Toronto. I forgot who ended up in Detroit, but it was a 3-team deal that landed Tayshaun Prince. But you put Tayshaun Prince next to Tony Allen, it's like, what are you going to do on the perimeter offensively? You got two of the best perimeter defenders in the league.
And you got two guys down low that score buckets, and Connolly now that does his thing on the outside. I look at them like they're a good team. That's why I look at Indiana and I say, you look at these 6'10", 6'9" guys, a 7'2" center, and then they don't score. And you go, oh, they're in trouble. But when they play defense, all three of them, man, are very good teams. Mm-hmm. So Miami really has a hard way to go to get there, even though they're maybe the most talented.
Again, no NBA games on the schedule tonight, but the Miami-Chicago game will be in Chicago Friday night, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. New York and Indiana will play in Indiana on Saturday, also 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Let's switch gears for a minute here and talk some hockey. Well, we're still in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs right now, but one team has advanced, and I'm pretty sure we both called this on Tuesday. It wasn't really a bold prediction. They were already up 3-0, but the San Jose Sharks have ousted the Vancouver Canucks, and we got one team in the second round. One of the 3 California teams has moved on.
Would you say bye to Canada? You're just trying to wave Canada out of here?
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to beat up on them in a minute here when we get to the Eastern Conference, because I talked about this on Tuesday and their Toronto Stronger signs. But again, the San Jose Sharks have swept the Vancouver Canucks, and they're going to go ahead and sit around and wait for the next round. In the first round, what we have left, though, Minnesota and Chicago, that's 3-1 Chicago. Actually, I think everyone thought this would be a sweep. Game 5's today. This is over, right?
Pretty much.
Okay, Chicago should advance. No big surprise there. Best team in the NHL this year and the short season, so obviously they should advance. Let's see here. The Kings and the Blues.
Oh.
Let's talk about your St. Louis Blues and the defending Stanley Cup champion Los Angeles Kings. Weren't you up 2-0?
Yes.
Aren't you now down 3-2?
Yeah.
It looks like the last year 8th-seeded Los Angeles Kings and current Stanley Cup champions still got a little bit of that 8th seed magic from last season going,
and you know what's interesting? All their games are 1-goal games, all of them. And they've all been close, and I think 3 out of the 5 have gone into overtime.
2 so far.
Only 2?
2. It was 2-1. The first game went to overtime, then 2-1, 1-0, 4-3, and then 3-2 last night, which also went to overtime. So 2 of the 5.
Okay, so I thought it was 3 of the 5. But can you imagine that?
All
those
one-goal games
have been that close. All of them 1-goal games. And last night, the Blues made a miracle goal at the end to send it into overtime. I was surprised because I thought, with the home ice advantage, they're going to take the Kings out, and they're not. The Kings are playing very good hockey. I'll give them their pride. People in St. Louis are losing their minds because they love the Blues in St. Louis. They're walking up and down the street with their jerseys on, like, we're ready to do this thing, and they're not going to go. The Kings are going into the second round. Now, the Kings are what? 5th seed?
I think they were the 4 and St. Louis was the 5. I'm not sure who. St. Louis was 4, then Kings were 5 then.
So the Kings are 5. So it's going to be interesting who they play. What was San Jose, 6?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, so they're not going to play.
I believe the winner of Blues Kings, I think it's just like the NBA. They get Chicago.
Oh.
Yeah, which that's
Well, who's the 7th seed? That's the thing. Who's the 7th seed should get Chicago.
No, because that's not how it works.
It should be 1, 8, 2, 7.
It's not
3,
though,
6.
because there's the possibility of 2 beating 7, and you're not going to have 1 play 2 in the second round. So the lowest possible it would be out of the 4-5 game, assuming that all the high-seeded teams win 1 through 4.
Well, that's if.
Well, it doesn't change just because a different team wins, though. So I'm pretty sure it's just like the NBA, where the winner of 4-5 plays the winner of 1-8. One other series, got to talk about it being in Orange County here.
Oh, man,
the Ducks got the overtime win, taking the 3-2 series lead over the disgusting Detroit Red Wings last night.
I don't know if they're disgusting, but they've had a lot of games in overtime.
Well, I don't like them because they're the Yankees.
Of hockey.
Yeah, like you don't have to watch hockey and a dozen guys on the Detroit Red Wings like, oh, wow, they have that guy too.
Okay, I got what you're saying. But I got to say, though, California teams are doing their thing. You got 1 in the second round, 2 about to go in the second round. Me, I'm going to start crying, but that's okay. I'll go hometown after the Blues lose.
Okay, so after the Blues lose, you think it's going to be Chicago and the 3 Cali teams?
Yeah.
I like it.
Absolutely. And the Kings might be the better of those. That's what's so interesting.
Debatable. Not better than Chicago, though.
I don't know about that because I still say it's goaltending. And it's the hottest goaltender. Right now, Chicago's goaltending is not that good.
Okay.
It's just average right now.
I'll give you that. Now, jumping over the East real quick, and I'm going to go kind of quick with this. Pittsburgh Blue, another game. We've allowed the Islanders to tie us, but the one thing I want to talk about that game, we lost 6-4. Marc-Andre Fleury only stopped 18 shots. I mean, if a team's only getting 24 shots on goal, you think that you're probably going to be the team that wins.
But you know what?
Not if you're giving up 6 of them, though.
I hear you, but you know what's interesting? When you say he only stopped 18, it all depends on how they're hitting the net. If you got 3 or 4 guys in front of the net crowded and he can't see the puck, and you got guys crashing in there and the puck's being deflected in, what is he going to do? He can't see him to stop him. That's the one thing. They're supposed to clear out that area for the goaltender to give him a shot to glove save or anything.
I understand that and all, but I don't think Pittsburgh is wrong to have benched him for Game 5.
Absolutely.
Because he hasn't looked like the Marc-Andre Fleury of, 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, no.
Let's see. The series that no one, well, I don't want to say no one, that I don't give a crap about. Ottawa and Montreal. Senators are up 3-1. Their Game 5 is also today. I don't know. I guess I'll go with the Senators just because they're up. Let's say that one's over. Rangers-Washington, though, series I actually have enjoyed. It's tied at 2-2. Their Game 5 is tomorrow. We'll be at Washington. I still like Washington in this series. The Rangers rub me the wrong way, and again, I like Alexander Ovechkin, which I already said on Tuesday.
You said another New York team rubs you the wrong way.
It's a coincidence. And the final series, Toronto at Boston, and I talked about this Tuesday. Toronto fans holding up the Toronto Stronger signs. Well, you're down 3-1. Game 5's Friday, and I really, really hope that Boston ends this series.
Where are they playing it?
That game is going to be at Boston on Friday, and you know the Boston Strong signs will be up.
So call that over.
Right.
Call it over.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Let's switch gears one more time and talk about baseball early on in this season. I'll let it run.
Come on, Will Smith.
There we go. I somehow had lost page 8. You know, speaking of Will Smith, we share a birthday.
What?
Yeah, September 25th. Also,
No
Scottie
kidding.
Pippen, T.I. was born September 25th, 1980, just like myself. What you know about that?
Well, I'm just saying, you're 2 days away from my dad and 4 away from my mom. So, no wonder I like you.
Right? Well, let's talk baseball. And we talked some baseball on Tuesday, and obviously not too much has gone on in the last 2 days, but what I want to talk about, and I said on Tuesday, how the Angels have a 6-game road trip, 3 in Houston, 3 in Chicago, and how here's the time we're going to get things turned around. Well, we have lost 2 in a row to the Houston Astros, one of the 2 teams in all of baseball worse than us this season.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
It's a collective effort, and it's bad. The pitching right now is failing. Your hitting is worse. I got to say, the pitching is worse than the hitting. And the hitting is just really subpar right now. Like you said,
Except Trumbo.
Trumbo's the only guy really pulling his weight.
Hey, we got a 3rd home run out of Josh Hamilton last night.
Woo! And I saw a column that said it wouldn't have gone out of any other park. And I thought that was kind of crazy because it would have gone out of Boston because Boston's 280 feet, but it might have hit the wall because it was a low-line drive.
Right.
But he is not hitting the ball very well. Pujols is injured, but he went 2 for 4. Your boy went 2 for 4 also. Trout did. So it could be coming around. But I'm still looking at them like they should sweep Houston, and they didn't. They lost the series. They're playing one more today. I think they're playing an afternoon game. But it just hurts my heart to see how poorly they're playing.
No, it's actually 5:10 our time, tonight's game.
Oh, they're not playing
Actually, let me get into those real quick. Tonight, the Angels will be, of course, the 3rd game in the Houston series at Houston. That'll be at 5:10. Oakland will be at Cleveland. Kansas City, who's still hot somehow, at Baltimore. Minnesota at Boston, who's kind of slowed down. Got swept by the Twins over the weekend. Toronto at Tampa Bay. Over in the National League, Pittsburgh will be at the Mets. Philadelphia at Arizona. Atlanta at San Francisco. And in interleague play, the Yankees will be in Colorado, and Detroit will be at Washington.
And I'm happy the Yankees are playing Colorado. Make them tired, beat up the pitching because they're playing the Cardinals next, so we can knock around on Colorado.
Oh, Colorado's playing you guys next?
Yeah, they're traveling to St. Louis, so they're playing today, so they should be tired.
Well, you guys are looking good so far, though, so you don't have too many problems.
No,
and you've had the pitching injuries, too.
But I got to tell you, we got the deepest pitching in baseball. Our minor league system is they say the number one in baseball, so we're able to rebound, which is great.
You've got me following pitching now, which is something I don't normally do, and now specifically National League pitching, and I'm going to have to absolutely agree with you. That's the deepest pitching, what do you call it, rotation? Not rotation, because it's all your bullpen, too. It's
yeah.
As far as pitchers go, on any team in Major League Baseball, it's got to be the St. Louis Cardinals.
You know what? And it's funny because I follow ESPN and all these other places, and they keep saying how other teams are so much better than my Cardinals, and I'm not going to tout the Cardinals yet. I'm going to say their pitching is still pulling. It may or may not last. Who knows? But I look at them and I say, man, they got a deep rotation, and then they got 4 or 5 relievers who are very good, and everything is coming into place right now.
And that's without Mott, too.
Yeah, and Mott's not playing. You know what's crazy is they're hitting, like I said, 240, 250 as a team. But with runners in scoring position, they lead baseball. They're 2-1 over baseball's average. They're hitting over 400 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position.
Any guesses what team leads Major League Baseball in stranded runners?
I bet it's the Angels.
It is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
I'm surprised it's not Toronto. That's the team. It's Miami North. They're horrible. So, I feel for Toronto because they took Florida's garbage, and I will call it that now. Those guys went north, man, and they still aren't doing anything.
Well, what's funny about that, and then we'll take a real quick break here, Toronto has picked up technically Miami's garbage now. But, I'm looking in the paper every day, and I'm looking at these guys, the transactions for Miami. Boy, they sure pick up the Angels scraps, don't they?
Yeah.
They released Sean Figgins in spring training. Casey Kochman's starting for them when he's not hurt. Like, wow, you pick up a lot of leftovers too.
They're not spending much money right now in Florida. They're trying to regain some sort of footing, and they got a new stadium. They got all that money from Major League Baseball. They're blowing it right now.
Take a quick break, and we'll discuss the Western Conference matchups.
Can I help you? Can I help you? What do you do? I do it all. Have a seat. I will, because that's something I can do. Do something. Do something. I am. I did. What did you do? It's already done. What did you do? I helped you. Are you drunk? Not drunk enough.
Well, I've already mentioned we're in the second round of the playoffs. Let's move on over to the Western Conference. Let's start with last night's game. Woo. Golden State finally winning a game in San Antonio. It's been since 1997, 30-game losing streak at the Alamo Dome. Do they still call it the Alamo Dome?
I don't know what they call that river walk, man.
Well, at least they got rid of that baby blue key and the pink top of the key. That just didn't look right to me. Anyhow, you can't talk about this game and not talk about Klay Thompson. 8 for 9 from behind the three-point line. Klay Thompson with a career playoff high of 34 points. I think that might be his career high, actually.
It was.
It was his career high as well?
But 14 rebounds, too.
14 rebounds.
He played a complete game because I understand he was locking Parker down.
Klay Thompson played a great game. We got to get him down to Southern California.
Well, he's here on vacation. I'm sure he'd be hanging out with his dad.
Well, I mean, in a Laker uniform.
You really would like that. He's a second-year player.
I love that.
He's a second-year player. So when's he going to leave?
When's he going to leave? Well, it wouldn't be for 2 years, and Kobe be retired by then. Just saying.
Are you trying to get everybody in Los Angeles? You can't afford him and LeBron and your center.
Yeah, re-sign Dwight. Wait a year, get LeBron. Wait another year after that, get Klay Thompson. We're good. Life after Kobe's fine.
Life after Kobe's what it is. You need another owner.
Lakers don't restock. We reload. That's what we do.
I understand. Reload.
Okay, so anyways, Golden State tied this series, winning the game 100-91, but for the third game in a row, they almost let a big lead get away.
19-point halftime lead, down to 6 in the fourth quarter. Can you imagine that?
Their young age is really showing in these last 3 playoff games. However, they won 2 of these 3 games where everyone's talking about them blowing the big lead. At least they hung out and got the W in Game 7 in the first round, and they got the W last night. And Steph Curry didn't play all that well. I mean, he was off for Steph Curry.
He didn't shoot well because he was 7 for 20.
7 for 20
but I
is
gotta
off
tell
for
you,
Steph
he
Curry.
hit a couple big shots toward the end, though. What I like about Curry is he has the fortitude to take those shots even when he's having a bad shooting night. I mean, he hit that step back two-pointer that was near the three-point line, and I'm thinking, this man has all heart. He really looked good.
What I thought was interesting during the game, Chris Webber had said, what's really special about a player like Steph Curry, you struggle to find another player in the NBA to compare him to. You can't say, Steph Curry's like so-and-so, like how we would say, we could say the whole Pacers team is like the whole Grizzlies team.
Right.
There's no guy like Steph Curry who's creating his own shot off dribbles like this and being that accurate from the three-point line, really everywhere on the floor. Really special player.
What's your boy's name in Michigan coming out? The guard?
Trey Burke?
Yeah. I wonder who's going to draft him and what he's going to be like when he gets to the league. He is a smaller version of
He might be the guy they compare to Steph Curry, Trey Burke, when he comes out. That's a good point.
You know, that's going to be interesting.
Again, we're only doing the half-hour show today, so I'm kind of running out of time here, so I want to move on to the Memphis OKC series.
Ooh. We
already kind of talked about it earlier at the top of the hour, but I wouldn't be surprised. Memphis has got this. I think Memphis in 6.
You keep saying that, and I might end up agreeing with you, but right now I'm still looking at OKC because I really believe Durant gave me what I wanted the last game. 36 points, 9 boards, 9 assists, the whole 9. He missed a few shots at the end. They're going to go to Memphis. Memphis is going to play a slower, banging game. I think Ibaka is going to play better, and I believe they're going to pull it out. I didn't even see Perkins in the game. He didn't matter. So I'm looking at them and saying they got to move the ball a little bit better. They're going to get more scoring from Mr. Durant. I'd say like 44, 46 points.
What you're saying about Perkins, that's how I always feel about Cephalosha and Perkins. Like, they're there for their defense. Like, they're not going to call plays for those dudes, and sometimes they get lost on the court. You know, you don't even know that they're there.
And Collison, I didn't hear anything from Collison in that game.
No, and he's usually the first big off the bench.
He's like
They've been going with the beat a lot lately.
He's like a 10 to 12 point scorer, and I'm surprised he's not really in it. So I don't know what's going on with their coach, and how they're playing the guys. But I see them winning the first game in Memphis, and I'm going to call it right now. They're winning game 3.
You're making a guarantee.
OKC's winning game 3.
I may be wrong, but I doubt it.
I think that's a Fanalize This first. We used
sir.
the Charles Barkley drop for one of your predictions.
Hello.
How about that?
And we're going to find that at Saturday, right?
Friday. Let me mention that. The San Antonio Golden State game, that's Friday. It's at Golden State, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. OKC at Memphis, game 3 will be Saturday, 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Speaking of coaches, though, I want to talk about something right now in the... I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Well, speaking of coaches, George Karl got Coach of the Year. It was my prediction. However, there were 8 to 10 coaches that could have got this, and it would have been right. I'm glad George Karl got it, though. Always been a fan of him, and with that incredible home record the Nuggets had, even though they lost in the first round of the playoffs, George Karl, well-deserving of the Coach of the Year this year.
He was at full strength, and he was still, I think he was undersized.
Full strength? They lost Danilo?
But I'm saying for the regular season. For the regular season, he was there for the whole season. I'm saying they were undersized type ball club, and they were able to be very effective. They reminded me of Phoenix in Phoenix's big days.
George Karl, 2013 NBA Coach of the Year.
You're a man.
Well-deserved.
I'm just saying.
2 other stories I want to touch on real quick here. I don't really follow soccer too closely, but I watched a story last night about Sir Alex Ferguson, the coach of Manchester United for the past 27 years. He's going to be stepping down. This dude's numbers and what he's won is incredible. He's like Vince Lombardi, Phil Jackson, and John Wooden all rolled into one. And this is the most popular sport in all of the world, despite not our country, but everywhere else. So there's no argument there. It's the most popular sport in the entire world. And this guy has just been, the best coach for 27 years. I was blown away the numbers when they showed him up and compared him to like John Wooden and Lombardi and Phil Jackson. Like, wow, this guy is really better than all 3 of them.
So he's really Tebow.
He's really what?
Tebow.
All
he does is win.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the guy clearly is the greatest coach in professional sports history.
I'm just saying.
One other quick little story, and this is kind of okay. We remember last week OKC was playing Houston in the first round of the playoffs. Apparently there was a female blogger, Rockets fan, from Houston, who started trashing an OKC cheerleader. The cheerleader's name is Kelsey Williams. She's been on all the morning shows making her rounds now, and this hater kind of got her fame because she wrote this whole blog about, this girl's too fat to be an OKC cheerleader. Well, Kelsey Williams, the Thunder cheerleader, is a size 4, and I showed you the picture. She looks pretty good, thick in all the right ways. So that blogger from Houston is just bitter that her team's no longer in the playoffs.
I'm just saying.
You're right about that, and I'm going to concur with you. I want to add one quick thing. Major League Baseball needs to bring in instant replay, and they need to get it done now. So I've seen a home run called a double, and I'm tired of it. I got outside pitches 5 feet being called strikes. So Major League Baseball, get a clue, get it right, because they said the Little League World Series is using instant replay, but the major leagues can't.
That's ridiculous.
Let's get it right.
That is ridiculous.
I'm just saying.
Well, we've neared the end of this short show this week, but we will be back on Tuesday. Again, remember, as always, to go like our Fanalize This page on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and check out the YouTube page, Fanalize This with no space. Anything you want to add, AP?
No, I just want to say welcome back again. I'm glad to be home. Let's do this thing.
It's good to have you back.
And we'll be back Tuesday. We'll be talking about the weekend and my prediction.
For Fanalize
Okay,
This,
sis.
I'm Joe 5 o'clock somewhere.
This is AP.
Peace.
Later.